It was more like a jump off of a cliff into a pool that doesn't refresh you. It sounds pretentious saying that, but it's just like I love going there. But I always was like, how does anyone get anything done?
Welcome back to my channel Lost and Found, and guess what? We have a new segment which is our podcast series and it's called Not 9 to 5, and we have a super special multi-talented guest to begin with, and welcome Jay Kila. Hi Jay, welcome to our
Hey,
podcast.
thank you.
Good to have you, and Bubbles as well.
It's great to be here.
I'll start with the basic question, which is like where you are from and what's your background.
I'm originally from New York,
Okay.
but I've been living in Mumbai for about 7 years. And, I'm a hip hop artist. And then now I've gotten more into acting and production. So, and improv.
Great. So, are you like a morning person or night person? What does a day in Jay's life look like?
Oh, good question. I used to be a night person because for writing rap and stuff, I used to like writing at night when everyone was sleeping, and I would stay up late at night and wake up late. But now I wouldn't say I'm a morning person, but I like to get up early. So I try to get up by like 8 or 9 a.m. I know it's not that early, but it's a good time. And then I feel like a day in my life, it varies, right? So usually I wake up, I do like my morning routine, which is like 10 minutes of meditating. And then I write in my journal gratitude, things I'm grateful for, and just thoughts that I have. Then I do this chanting. I'm into this Nichiren Buddhism, so I chant for about 30 or 40 minutes. And then I like check my emails, start my day, do a workout. Once that's done, I usually have lunch.
Great.
And then I'll go work. I usually then I work in the afternoon, like whatever work I have. I also do marketing for pop sockets, so if there's work there, or if there's a gig or meetings, I do that in the afternoon. And then in the evening I try to write, whether that's hip hop or now I'm writing more for our web series. So
Great.
yeah.
Jay has a super popular web series which is How to Make It in Mumbai, and there are already 2 great seasons there, and I think third one is coming.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the third one is coming. You can check out Dave in season 2.
So you spoke of a lot of habits in morning, and I have felt like as a freelancer, sometimes there is not enough time to do all of them.
Yes, you're right. I agree. So, yeah, I mean, on some days I'll skip part of it. Like maybe I won't chant as long, or that's why I try to wake up early, actually, is so that I can get all those things done. Because I also feel as a freelancer, without having a structure, because you don't know what you're doing on one day or the next, so having a routine helps a lot, I think.
What's the one habit that you can't really live without?
I'd say it's the chanting, and there are two. It's chanting and then working out. I feel like
Okay.
even if I have to go for a walk, if I don't move my body, I feel bad, because I feel like, your body is part of your mind, and if you're not exercising, you're not something. For me, it feels off.
What's your favorite workout then?
My favorite workout is walking.
Okay.
Yeah, because back in New York, right, everyone would walk everywhere. I know in Mumbai, it's hard to walk because like the sidewalks aren't that nice and the roads are crowded. But like even here, I try to walk, and it's just like it helps me clear my mind. I think a lot on walks, and I like walking on the beach. So, but if it wasn't walking, then I'd say like playing a sport, because I find the gym is good, but the gym it gets boring. I don't know. Because you're just like doing the same thing over and over, and it's like I need that excitement, something, yeah.
Nice. So, when you spoke of walking in New York and when you moved to Mumbai, like how was that? Like the transition from New York to Mumbai must have been a walk in itself, right? So
Yes, it was more like a jump off of a cliff into a pool that doesn't refresh you. Yeah. But no, it was a big transition, you know. I mean, see, we used to come when I was younger, right? Because my dad's originally from here, so we'd visit his family. And, you know, even I worked here for one summer in college. I worked at UTV as a marketing intern. And, but living here, it took a long time to get used to. You know, just because of, even though Mumbai is similar to New York, I actually find Mumbai is like New York and LA combined. But you know, the pace of things, not having, just getting used to like, you know, the food and just like not having the same things that I was used to in New York. It took a while. You know. Here you get very overwhelmed. The traffic, the sounds. So yeah, it took some time. And actually, at the end of my first trip, where I was here for like 6 months, I had to leave because of my visa. I got really sick, and I got chikungunya.
Oh damn.
So yeah, I couldn't get out of bed for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And when I left, I was like, I'm never coming back to India.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was frustrated. It was tough, you know. India is not for beginners. They say that, right? That's like, so.
And they also say never, so I think.
Yeah, true. But yeah, and you know, there's so many great things about Mumbai too, right? Like the people, the food, the culture. So it's like there are things that drew me back, especially work too. I feel like work is very exciting here for entertainment and freelancers.
So, what's the one thing like which people misunderstand most about you?
I'd say, you know, people misunderstand that like people still act like I'm a tourist a lot of the times. And it's like, I've been living here for 7 years, you know? Because even when I meet new people, they're like, oh, let me tell you about this. And I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, cool.
Since you said like you know Mumbai pretty well, what's your favorite place in Mumbai?
My favorite place, I would have to say, it's got to be, right, I mean, now it's Juhu Beach. I just love the beach. You know, my favorite place to go would probably be Soho House. It sounds pretentious saying that, but it's just like I love going there. Let me think of some other places too. But yeah, I'd say I really like Juhu. I just moved there a couple years ago, so you know, it's great.
Great. So you said like you did one internship. Have you ever had a job?
Yeah. I've had many jobs. You know, in New York, you have to have like multiple jobs, you know, even though I started doing music in New York, right? But it's like, you know, to be an artist or to be an entrepreneur, you have to have other sources of income because you're not going to make money from your passion or whatever, right? In the beginning. And so, like, I mean, back in New York, I worked as like a video editor. I worked for a friend's startup doing marketing. You know, I would do Postmates, which was like you deliver stuff. Out here, I worked at this clothing company doing marketing. Even now, I'm working for PopSockets, helping them do content and marketing. So, yeah, I feel like jobs are actually great to have as an artist because then, you know, if you can have that income or be financially stable, then you can like use your other time to focus on your art, and you don't get super stressed like about money, which makes it very difficult to create and stuff.
Correct. Since money is in the picture, like how was the transition when you came here? Because industry has a lot of collab feel going on always, right?
Yeah,
and as
yeah.
a creative, that can be challenging. So what was your experience with that?
Yeah, it was challenging. You know, I mean, the collab feel for the hip hop scene in the beginning, since it was still like developing as an industry, the collab stuff was actually good because then I was meeting artists and like we would work on tracks, and there wasn't this competitive nature about like who's getting paid for what and all that, which is there now. But like, I was wondering, how am I going to make money here? I didn't know. You know, I was able to stay with my aunt in the beginning, so like I didn't have to pay rent. But then it was like, you still need, you know, you have to find. So I was working remote still. Back in the US, I used to do this thing where I'd make custom songs for birthdays and bar mitzvahs and weddings. So I was still able to do that from here. And that helped me a lot. And then, but yeah, it was tough.
Great. So you just spoke of custom songs. So do you still do weddings, and have you done an Indian wedding ever?
I have, yes, but not here actually. In the U.S., I did, and I just did something for my cousin, but that was it wasn't at his wedding. It was at like a side party during his wedding festivities. So shout out to Aditya.
You are Aditya. So, like, how was the experience at the wedding then?
Oh, it was great. People loved it. Yeah. You know, the custom songs. Even I just did it at my brother's wedding. That wasn't an Indian wedding, but it was still like, cause you know, I make the song about them. So it's like I feel like when people hear something about them, it has a certain impact, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Nice. So if I get married, I hope I can afford you.
Hey, I'll come. I'll be there.
So you spoke of trying multiple things. So let's say when you are in a job, how do you bring out time for the creative pursuits? I would love to know about your creative journey, like how it has evolved from various aspects.
Thanks. That's a really great question. So when it started, I kind of I didn't have like a process. I would just sort of like create when I felt like it. If I felt some kind of inspiration and I felt like I wanted to make a song, I would work on it. But as you know, I kept making more songs. I tried to figure out how to not only get better at making songs, but how to like be in the mood to make music, you know, or if I'm not in the mood. So I'd read a lot of books about it, you know, because I'm sure you felt the same, right? It's like even though like people think like artists just get inspiration, it's like it's actually like a muscle. The more you work it out, the more it'll come to you, and like so it has evolved over the years. Like I was telling you, it used to be like I'd work on music late at night. So like after work or after the day, I'd go work. And when I first started, actually, I would be able to just like have a cup of tea or coffee, and then I'd be able to write. And that later transitioned into like I would want to like have a drink of beer or like smoke a joint, and then that would help me write. And there were a couple books that impacted me a lot. One was this book, The Artist's Way, by Julia Cameron.
Yeah.
You know, and that like she talks about being an artist because no one really tells you how to be an artist. You know, and one of the biggest things I found was this thing that she talks about, the inner critic, right? Which is the voice inside our head that says whatever we're making isn't good. And her whole philosophy is like you have to silence that. So that's even why today I still write in the morning, because like if you just write and get your thoughts out, you learn to like not judge yourself while you're writing. So now and then the other thing was like setting a routine. So having a set time each day that you try to write, because then as you do that, your mind gets into a habit like, oh, we're gonna write now, and you kind of prepare yourself for it. So it becomes like a ritual then. So those two things, you know, I would say that THC has some kind of connection to hip hop in particular. I don't know why, but it's true, and it's like, you know, now I don't like smoke a lot or drink a lot, but like sometimes, I mean, because I'm not working on music either that much, but like I'd say that there's some connection there. It can help you like loosen up your creativity.
You are fairly spiritual, and the industry is very glamour, correct? So how do you bring in that balance? Because as you mentioned, like a lot of times you are at places where there are a lot of people who are around, right? Like, and there is influence. It could be good or bad is subjective, but like there is always a conflict of spiritual and glamour. You must have experienced that, so I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, that's true. You know, well, I think it's two things. It's like, one is that, because see, a lot of hip hop takes place like at night, and you're at like the club or the bar, and it's like everybody's drinking and partying. And I realized like it's very tough, especially when you're not a big artist, because when you're a big artist, they give you your own room, and you don't have to deal with all this stuff going on because you're kind of alone. But when you're like an up and coming artist or underground, you know, you're just there at the place. And you have to be very disciplined, honestly. Like the first couple of years I started, I would just drink, and like sometimes I would get drunk and I wouldn't be able to perform at my highest level. Like the very first show I did, I got so wasted that I forgot the lyrics on stage.
Oh, damn.
And the guy came and he was like, all right, that was Jay Kila, everyone. And I had to leave after like one song.
Is there a video of that?
No, I don't think so. That was a long time ago. That was a really long time ago. But then, as I matured, I realized like I can't be like doing this, at least not before I perform. So then you just become more disciplined. And yeah, you have to be strong. Like people are offering you stuff, you have to just say no, which is also difficult at times. But yeah, I feel like having that, because the spirituality is really your own like philosophy for how to act, right? So having that, then in those situations you're stronger and you're not as persuaded. But yeah, it's also, now I just don't like being in those situations. So like if someone says you have to be at the club and they tell me to come, they tell me my thing is at 9, but I have to be there at 6. I'm like, I'm not getting there until 8:30 or 8. I don't want to be there that long because I don't want to get into all that and like just,
Is there a go-to thing to be creative? Let's say, is there something that gets you going? Like, okay, this is my routine. I do this and this, as you are in the zone.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
as an artist, sometimes you may not be in the space to perform, right? Mentally.
Right.
So how do you tackle that, or is there a way?
I'd say caffeine. Yeah. Caffeine helps a lot, because now I've been writing for the web series, right? And like I just like to have a cup of coffee in the morning and write, or in the evening. Otherwise, yeah, you just need energy, right? So like, for performing, I like to like meditate a little before, center myself. But yeah, I'd say those two things.
Nice. And like lot of times, people have perception about other people, right? Let's say you come from rap space, so and then you are fairly spiritual as well. So what keeps you grounded in that sense? Because you come across as a fairly grounded person, and since I've worked with you, I've experienced that in first person. So what keeps you grounded?
Well, I'd say, yeah, it's having, a very good support system. So like, I'm very grateful. My family is very supportive of me. My mom, my dad, my brother, my stepmom. So like having those around you, I think keeps you very grounded. And then also just having your friends who are also into like, self-improvement and bettering ourselves, and who aren't trying to like, just go out and get wasted or whatever till 4 a.m. But yeah, there's all these funny stereotypes about hip hop, and the more that I did it, the more that I realized it's really like all art, I think, is just about like being yourself and being authentic. And the stereotypes in hip hop are, they're related to partying, they're related to like smoking weed. But I always was like, how does anyone get anything done if they're just like in the studio, they're just smoking weed all day,
Yeah.
And it's like, I like smoking weed, but I can't get shit done when I'm like in that zone, So I think, I think being grounded and being disciplined is probably the most important thing for artists.
So let's say these kind of the situations you mentioned, which could be super uncomfortable for somebody who's just starting. Like, how do you tackle that? Like, let's say if someone is just starting into rap music, what would be your suggestion for them, both from creative space and to tackle this human problem, I would say, right?
Yeah. It's tough because a lot of the people are very young. So I'd say try to find a mentor, someone who can help guide you. Because you're not going to be able to avoid these situations 100%. And I'd say, you want to read a lot, keep educating yourself, and then think about the artists that, they like. And because when you start doing any type of art form, you're always trying to imitate whoever you like, right? And then as you keep going, you realize you want to put more of yourself in. So for the young artists, I'd say, don't feel too pressured, just because somebody else is telling you. If it's not someone that, if it's not like your best friend or someone that you like, you don't have to take their advice. It's just that's just their perspective.
Great. So, like, when did you figure out that rap was the thing to start with? Because you are a man of multi-talent, as I said. So, We'll get to the moving on part, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what got you started in rap music?
Well, it basically started, I always liked rap growing up. But when I was growing up, there wasn't as much technology to make rap. Like, we didn't have, YouTube was coming out when I was in college. And what happened was I got a MacBook laptop for the first time. And in college, I was actually going to study econ and go into finance because I wanted to be a banker just to make money. Because everyone in New York is banking so. But then I got this laptop and I started realizing that I liked making videos because of YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah. And through that, I was actually like, oh, I can make music too. So then I started making songs for fun. I was like, actually, I like making the music more than the video because the music, I don't have to call up anyone to help me. I can just make music alone. So then I just started making music for fun, and I got more serious about it, and that was how it started.
Nice. That's so cool. So let's say when you move from one art form to other, you're almost a beginner again, right? And how do you tackle that situation? Because sometimes you feel like you have respect in one field which you have accomplished, but you move to another one where you are a beginner, right? So
Yeah.
how do you handle that kind of thing? And what experiences help you in the new thing that you try?
Okay. Yeah, that's something I'm experiencing right now because I'm kind of transitioning from hip hop more into acting. And first, I think the first thing is you have to have a lot of passion for whatever you're about to do, right? Because even with hip hop, my goal in the beginning was it was not to become a big artist. It was just to get as good as I could at rapping and become good, at the craft. So if you have that passion, that's what drives you to get better. And even with acting, I'm trying to do the same thing right now. So, but yeah, I mean, you just have to keep practicing it and not be afraid of failure. That's something I learned from improv. And part of the reason that I got into improv, was just to get better at acting. And it was just like, yeah. So I think you have to practice a lot, not be afraid of failure, and then, yeah, not be afraid to be a beginner again, which is actually harder than it sounds.
Interesting. I think that's an interesting note. You spoke of improv helping in hip hop, and did improv change your life in general? Like, was there something it brought in?
It did, yes, definitely. Yeah. I think the whole philosophy of improv about, just saying yes and just made me more open to life and opportunities. And I mean, doing improv out here has like reawakened that also. And like just, I feel like there's so many philosophies. You had made that video, right, about what you can learn from improv, and I feel like that's very true. And, but yeah, so yeah, definitely it has. And you were talking about the differences, right, between here and New York.
Yeah.
So it's funny because at New York, I had gone to that school, the UCB, which now
Wow.
has become this prestigious improv school, right? And out here, it's interesting because the improv scene is there are like several different scenes happening. Even you guys have the downtown improv, but
Yeah.
like I know that when I took the course at Neville's school, they follow the UCB book. So that guidebook has kind of like set the standard, I think, for around the world to an extent, and which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's great that improv is growing out here, and it reminds me of what the hip hop scene was right before COVID, where it's like there's a community, and a lot of people are doing it, but not everybody knows about it. So it's pretty cool, yeah. And I think everyone should try improv at least once, do it once.
Yes, come for downtown improv for sure. Since improv is just starting, and I think any artist who's just starting, like you spoke of money being there or not there, that can affect a lot of choices. In India, we're not very open to probably freelancing in general. So, how do you balance that out?
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like having, especially out here, having full-time jobs, it takes up most of your time, right? Because, out here, they make you work a lot. Like, even when I was working at this clothing company, I only had to go 3 days a week because I was part-time. But even that they would try to max out my hours. And it slowly became more. It became 4 days a week. And, you know, I used to watch Gary Vee a lot back. This was maybe like 10 years ago. And all these entrepreneurs would talk about how, like, you know, if you do have a 9 to 5 job, you have to use that time. That means, like, so you go in at 9, you get out at 5. But then say you get back to your house at 6. Now, between 6 and whatever time you go to sleep, say that's 10, right? You have 4 hours. So even if you can dedicate 2 of those hours, you know, because you have to eat, you have to do whatever, you have to relax. If you can dedicate 2 of those hours to your passion, you do that every day, you'll start to build a momentum where now either you're getting better at your craft or maybe you're making money from it in some way. If it's a side hustle or small business you're starting. So you have to just be very disciplined. It's difficult. It's not easy. And you know, if the other thing about having a job is you want to save money. A lot of people, like even me, it took me a long time to understand how to save money. I probably, like all my 20s, I was never thinking about saving money. I was either just spending it or I would just throw it all into like music. But the truth is you actually want to save money because that could help you leave your job then at some point. So, yeah, I think saving money and being disciplined are 2 of the things. Yeah.
Great. So, like, if I were to leave job, how much money should I save? Like, for how many months?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'd say at least 6. You want 6 months of leeway, because and just because you're leaving your job, I mean, honestly, you'd want 1 year. I'd say 1 year would be ideal. If you really want to leave your job, then maybe 6 months, and even if you're leaving your job to pursue your passion, you still want multiple sources of income. So, like you just mentioned, the gig economy and the freelance economy here, it's not that big, but it's growing. Like more people, I think, are becoming freelancers now, because of the internet. And so I'd say even if you leave your job, and you're going to dedicate it all to your passion, at least find another way to earn some income while you're doing that. Yeah.
Nice. So, like all this requires a lot of decision making. Are you afraid of anything? Like when you're taking a lot of such choices, right?
Yeah.
Like moving from New York to Mumbai, and
Yeah,
there are a
yeah.
lot of choices which I've heard in your story. So, are you afraid of something?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I'm still afraid of failing and because even the web series, right? I'm still investing my own money. And now we're making season 3 and I'm like, can I keep doing this? Like if I'm not getting money back, how do I keep making the series? Because after a point, especially when you get older, when you're in your 20s, you're not thinking about this that much. But when you get to your 30s or your mid 30s, then you're like, shit, I'm almost 40. And you kind of want to reach a stage of life where you have some modicum of success or something. So yeah, of course I'm worried about just again just having to I guess it's kind of starting over if you save up a lot and then you spend it on something and that thing doesn't work out, then you're like, shit, now where am I at? And so yeah, I'm still afraid of that.
You have a very mature mindset. Was there any incident which kind of transformed your life? Like, okay, this is a new Jay. Like, today is a new Jay. New day, new Jay kind
New Jay,
of
new
thing.
Jay.
So,
Yeah, man. There were a few. I mean, one was in college where I told you I made this change from studying economics and wanting to go into finance to becoming suddenly interested in videos and filmmaking. And that was a big shift that happened, through just thinking a lot, and then trying new things. And it was a whole identity shift because no one knew that I wanted to do video making and stuff. So that was definitely one. I'm trying to think of what else. I think when I realized that I wanted to do hip hop, it made me start taking more risks and not being afraid of Because in the sense that like I wasn't really willing to go back to like a typical corporate job like full time. I was like, so if I'm not gonna do that, I can take these other risks and try things that like someone who is afraid of losing that wouldn't be able to do. So that that partially led me to come out here, and coming out here though was the thing that changed my life the most. Because it just taught me so many different things that I'd never thought about before, especially like being grateful for like what I have and how much gratitude is, and just seeing a whole way of a different way people live that changes your mindset. And from being out here has been the most educational and maturing thing for me, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think I totally resonate with the gratitude bit. Like I think it has become a way of life, and that kind of transforms you. So yes, gratitude is the key. What's next for Jay? Like, is there a movie coming? Is it actor, director, or like we already have web series, and I know that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And like, what's next?
Yeah, we need the movie to come out. We need the movie. No, I have a bunch of other shows that I want to make. So like, I want to, my goal is to create my own production company, and just keep doing, to make these shows and make them the way that I want to, basically. And otherwise, keep doing improv. I think we have a show maybe sometime soon.
Soon, hopefully. Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, that's it. That's about it, I guess.
How is Hindi learning going?
Hindi achi chal rahi hai. So it's it's good. I'm working on my speaking more. My
Nice.
understanding is good, but yeah.
I think our next podcast could be in Hindi.
Hindi? We could try it. We could try it.
How do you define happiness?
Well, that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently. But for me, I feel it's being able to do what you want when you want. But it's also your perspective, right? I've been reading a lot recently, and a lot of people say happiness is a choice. And there are times where I feel like I haven't reached, where I want to reach. But then I can look at that two ways, right? I can say I'm not there yet, or I can look at it as, wow, look at how far I've come. And then, that's a happier perspective. So, yeah, I feel it's both. I feel it's like, it's all about your perspective and your framing. But, yeah, just waking up and being excited to be about the day.
Nice. So, since I know your age and I don't want to disclose it, so how do you stay so young?
It's a good question. I think drinking hot water. I think stay hydrated. And honestly, I feel like it's because I haven't had to do, like, I know some of my friends have worked jobs that they hate, but then they've done that for years. And I'm very lucky in that I haven't had to do that, because I feel like when you do that, it ages you, the mental stress and everything. So I feel like, just, being healthy, and then just keeping your mind fresh, what we just talked about, like having that perspective, gratitude, it makes a big effect, I think, on your age as well.
Nice. Is there a life motto, or if you were to share like 3 life mantras, what would they be?
One would be just do it, Nike.
Yeah.
2 would be don't take yourself too seriously. And the 3rd would be everybody has an opinion. So just don't listen to everybody. Like, take what advice you like and think about who's giving you that advice. Because I used to take advice from everyone, especially when I first moved here. But now I ask, who is the person that's giving me the advice, and then I decide whether I want to take it.
Is there any question you wish that I had asked you?
Yes, maybe where can they watch my web series?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, guys, I'll be putting that link, obviously.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
am in the second season, but watch the entire series for sure. And
Yes.
comment on each of the videos.
Yes.
And when is the season 3 coming?
Season 3, it should be coming this fall, September, October.
Okay, great, nice. So we'll just do a bit of quick rapid fire.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And to know more about you, and can I challenge you to answer them in Hindi?
Sure, we can try.
Okay. So, what's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Okay, there's no Hindi
no,
for that
Hindi,
for
Hindi,
sure.
yeah.
Favorite color?
Color lal.
Lal. Okay. And song?
Oh, song. Uh, Shit, man, that's a tough one. There's a lot. I guess I'm completely blanking.
So, okay, I'll simplify it. Which is your favorite song which you have created?
Oh, okay. My favorite song, it's probably a song called Meri Jaan.
Okay, nice. So, hear that out. I'll put that link. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Okay, nice. You're a good guy. Favorite word
Favorite word?
in Hindi?
Oh, in Hindi, chutia.
Okay. Favorite non-slang word?
Non-slang word, bilkul.
Okay, interesting. What's your favorite app?
My favorite app, probably InShot.
Okay,
InShot,
interesting.
very practical app, good
Yeah.
app, yeah.
Favorite season?
Summer.
Summer, okay.
But that's the New York summer. Mumbai summer, it's very hot.
Okay.
Mumbai, it's monsoon actually, I think.
Okay,
Or
interesting.
winter.
Favorite city?
Mumbai.
Oh, wow. Yes. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Perfect. Juhu Beach, yes. Text or talk?
Text.
Interesting. Web series or movies?
I gotta say web series right now, but I love movies. Yeah.
Okay, so perfect. I think that was a great podcast. If you have some more questions for Jay, do drop them in comments, and maybe we'll have one more session. And thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
and agreeing for this.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
super
great.
fun.
It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.